You need to know at least your top few values, the kind of people you want to work with, what you're trying to do. Because even if you're just a freelancer, and I'm using air quotes for those of you that can't hear me because I hear that a lot, you're important to our work. When I hire you for a PowerPoint slide or I hire you for a workbook, one, I don't hire people who don't align with my values because I get to choose where my money goes, right? But two, your service helps my business reach the right people, right? So I think if we didn't look at it like narrow and we actually looked at it as like an ecosystem of people working together, I don't know. I think the whole world would just be a better place at this point.
Hey, this is Nick Armstrong, and you are watching the Founded in FoCo podcast. Every episode, we get a chance to talk to somebody in our innovative, creative, nonprofit, small business, moving economy here in Fort Collins, and we are so excited today to have Shannon Hernandez with us. Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Tell us about your business.
Oh, my business is based on joy, and we have a mantra. If it ain't joyful, we ain't doing that shit.
I love it.
I accidentally said that.
What sparks joy for you in particular in business?
Kind messaging and ethical marketing. Like, that's my jam. That's what I built the whole business on. And email marketing in particular, because it's permission-based. People can opt in, they can opt out. And I just love email marketing, all things email marketing.
Tell me about what would bring a joy in terms of, you see, like, is it the funny in an email? Is it the heart? What brings joy when you're creating a good email marketing campaign?
A story. Stories. Non-pushy language. Invitations to join what's happening in the person's world or my world for that matter. I like a straight up text only, clean, easy to read, call to action. You go take action and do it if you want it.
Yeah, we have very similar perspectives in terms of marketing, I feel. The thing that I usually like to tell my clients in particular is if you don't lead with story, you're not going to get very far into any sort of relationship with them, whether it's, if they're wanting to have a customer or a supplier or anything like that. They don't believe in what you're working on. And that all comes from the story. They're not going to want to work with you for very long.
Yeah, it's true. And I think people forget that email marketing can actually be a two-way conversation. And that's really what we teach. So a lot of people have resistance to email marketing. Honestly, the number one reason when we've done the research is they're like, well, I don't get that instant comment, that like, that interaction. And I'm like, well, are you asking people to reply? Are you asking people to like interact with you on email? And they're like, no, I never thought of it. And I'm like, well, let's think that way, right? And friendly reminder for everyone listening, the likes and the dopamine hits in the comments don't pay the bills. So don't get wrapped up in the wrong metrics.
Your responses are something that I haven't heard an email marketer really talk about. Encourage them to hit the reply button and get back to you. Although I have seen a number of very good educational consultants doing that very thing. And because they want that call and response. What are some good ways to identify your story if you haven't started down that pathway yet?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the big misconceptions in the world, not just in the marketing world, but it bleeds over into business, right, is that we have one story. And even the way you said the question, right? What's one way we can start telling our story? So I like to just ask people that to expand their thinking. You have so many stories that could be being told and related to your business, related to your mission, related to your vision. So my first thing is like to make everyone stop saying, how do we tell our story? Because you actually have like a billion stories, right? And so there's a lot of ways that we actually teach this. We have a live event coming up. It's sold out in February in Miami. It's our content creation on location, and it's an immersive story experience. And for 3 days, we take people on a scavenger hunt through Miami. They collect photos, which become stories for their marketing. We help people finish either a story that connects or a story that explains, right? So there's all different kinds of stories and ways to use them, whether you're speaking from a stage, you're doing a podcast, you're sharing a video. Everyone loves and engages with a good story, right? So one of the very first things I think the listeners could do, and this is super fun and it's quick, is you pick up your cell phone and you close your eyes and you open your photos and you scroll. And the picture you land on is the picture we're going to write a story about. Now, if it's a naked picture, I've made people do it. If it's a picture of like a half cut off face of your dog because the dog moved, every photo in this phone has a story, right? And it's the great thing about it is you can usually remember that moment in time, the details that were happening, like why this photo is sitting in your phone. And that's what makes a really good story, is the details that bring people into the story of what's happened.
I love that ongoing rolling storytelling as part of your overall brand and messaging strategy. What got you into joyful marketing and storytelling to begin with?
Oh, well, I used to be a teacher. I was a teacher in Spanish Harlem, New York City. And it is not an easy place to teach, right? But it was good. It was a challenge. And I realized when I walked into the classroom, so I taught for 15 years, I had better be a very good storyteller at the front of the room, or I was not going to get out of there alive every single day. And so every day, my mission just really became, how can I engage people and get them into the conversation, into the lesson that was happening? And that has blossomed into a global business now where I teach people all over the world how to tell great stories for their marketing. So yay, Spanish Harlem teaching days gave me my strong footing in the power of storytelling.
Good teachers make all the difference when it comes to retention of material, making that a passion project that would normally be a slog for you. Figuring out like, oh, I actually do like math or science or literacy or whatever it is. I love these things because we had a good teacher, and the good teacher makes all the difference. What have you found when you're working with clients? Do you apply any of those same teaching skills to working with clients?
Absolutely. And I think this is why so I've been in business 13 years. I think this is why we have the reputation we have. We teach messaging, like different messaging formats and marketing in very bite-sized pieces, right? So I teach as if I'm in a classroom. We have a warm-up, get people thinking. We do the engaging question. Then people are in the content, they're applying it. So when people come to our workshops, they're literally working on the thing. It's not PowerPoints, it's not presentations. Like nobody needs more information. They need to understand how to do the thing that you're asking them to do. So we carry that over. The other thing we do is we try and make sure in our programs, in our workshops, every learning style is accounted for, which is something I learned as a teacher, right? There are people who learn kinesthetically. There are people who learn auditorily and so on. So we've paid a lot of attention over time to, are we reaching the learners based on the best way they learn, which actually contributed to me developing the first body of work that kind of put this business on the map, which is the content personality quiz. And it's a simple 8-question quiz. At the end, you learn what is your best way to market based on your strengths, right? And so you can put your blinders on to all the things that are not your thing, and it just reduces the noise. And that to me is the joy, right? Being able to say, this is my strength. I'm staying in my lane. I'm going to focus, and all the rest, it doesn't matter anymore.
There's so many moments of that I get from my clients in particular of pushback about I don't want to be on what name the platform could be LinkedIn because I don't write in short form, or I don't want to
Yeah.
be on Instagram because I don't take good pictures, or whatever it is that there's something that is a block. And I think that is a really powerful message to focus. It's okay. You can ignore pieces of story that you don't want. You don't tell a story in that way really well. That's okay. Skip
Yeah.
it. There's other places that you can really function well and have joy in telling that story. Because if it's not joyful, why are you doing it? To your point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing too, it's not just how you deliver it, which is what we call your content personality, but it's also what platform one brings you joy, right? And so we really try and get people super effective and not like strung out in all the places. Um, Plus email. So we say one platform plus email, of course, because I know people need an email that they actually own the contact and the data list because these social media sites change every day. And some go away and some stay, and who the hell knows what's coming up? I have no idea.
Yeah, and you're not talking about like long form emails here, right? This is where you're writing and writing and writing and writing, or maybe even transcribing your voice into long form paragraphs that are just, a wall of text. You seem to be advocating for the idea of splitting these emails or the storytelling chunks into pieces that you're actually good at and competent with in terms of your toolkit.
Yeah. But also, like, I am not opposed to a long form email.
Hmm.
I write a long story. Now, it's not like blog post long, like 1,500 words, but I have found it's the same thing that you just said your clients say, I hear too. Like people won't read, their attention spans are short. You can't be too long. You can't be, well, actually, if we think about in my business, the kind of clients that are the best clients are the ones who are going to take the time to read because I'm giving you like this is what we need for your marketing for thought leadership to convert, right? You can't do that in 20-second TikToks. I'm sorry, you can't. Even if you do 100 of them, it still doesn't work. So long live the long form content, mix up your email strategy, do what you do best and leave the rest.
Yeah, the pushback against TikTok in 20 seconds, they're the thought leaders that I have observed are really like it's a long time. It's a minute and 30 seconds or whatever, so that they dedicate to each one of their videos and they're recording in the car or whatever else. They've planned this a little bit better, but that they are putting that time and effort into a cohesive thought that is more than a 20-second soundbite.
Yep.
And it is in a TikTok realm 130 seconds is eternity versus, YouTube where it's 60 minutes, 90 minutes of in-depth classes and diving in. And some of these unboxing videos are 30 minutes long to get to, how long does it take me to, unwrap the packaging? I love the idea of integrating joy throughout and layering these stories in so that you have a more proactive approach to your marketing, especially in the realm of thought leadership. Let's talk a little bit about your Founded in FoCo session. Speaking of thought leadership, tell me about who should be in the room, who should raise their hand and say, "I need the session."
Well, I'm actually there for two sessions. I feel so fortunate. So one session is mission-driven story marketing. People buy what you stand for, not what you sell. And in that session, we're really going to dive into this idea of your vision, your values, and your mission. And so I live my vision, values, and mission. If it ain't joyful, I'm not doing it, right? So in this case, what my clients and future clients actually buy into is this idea of less is better. Joy can lead the way. And we can help you find organic marketing that will work, is sustainable, and will do the job, right? Yes, they're also coming for the strategy and they're coming for the messaging pillars and they're coming for these things. But overall, they're not buying that particular piece. They're buying that joy piece, that permission piece. And so it's really important, I think, that as our businesses grow, we come back or as the companies grow, the nonprofits, whatever it is, that we come back to this idea of what are the values, what is the vision, and what is the mission. And so that session is really going to help people dive into some stories that support their marketing, wherever they choose to put that marketing.
If you're a freelancer, right, you might not have spent a ton of time diving into that realm of mission, vision, values.
Yep.
And even some small businesses might not have done that work, or solopreneurs, right? Uh, Nonprofits, sure, yes. Creatives, absolutely. They got a vision board, they're ready to go. the freelancers and in particular small business owners and solopreneurs have been really pushed down this pipeline of personal branding. And I'm curious what your feel is on that, identifying and really pulling out what the mission, vision, and values are for a small business owner or freelancer in particular.
I hear this a lot. We get a lot of people who started as a freelancer, moved more into that solopreneur, like they're starting to think like, ooh, I've got a knack for this. Maybe I should specialize in it or niche down or whatever the language is. We still do vision, values, and mission with them. And the reason why, and I think it's important for everyone, is, I mean, if we just look at what's happening right now in the political landscape, I'm not going to get political, but there is a distinct divide, right? And the divide is based on values. It's based on what people value. It's based on how people lead. It's based on how people don't lead, right? Like there's all these things. And so when you're a freelancer, small business owner, nonprofit, solopreneur, it doesn't matter, corporation, you have to have something that's going to guide you. It becomes like your roots, your rock, right? So I got a client inquiry a couple weeks ago, and I was like, when I read the form, I don't know about this one, but I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I got on the phone, the most miserable person I've probably met in a long time. And I politely declined because I don't want that energy in my workspace, right? Like I get to choose the projects, I get to choose the people. And so I would give that to the freelancers as well. Like you need to know at least your top few values, the kind of people you want to work with, what you're trying to do. Because even if you're just a freelancer, and I'm using air quotes for those of you that can't hear me because I hear that a lot, you're important to our work. When I hire you for a PowerPoint slide or I hire you for a workbook, one, I don't hire people who don't align with my values because I get to choose where my money goes, right? But two, your service helps my business reach the right people, right? So I think if we didn't look at it like narrow and we actually looked at it as like an ecosystem of people working together, I don't know. I think the whole world would just be a better place at this point.
It makes a lot of sense. And no is a really powerful word in a freelancer's toolkit. It's
Yes.
really tempting to take on the hourly or whatever. It's going to pay the bills. It's going to get to the next thing of groceries or whatever it is. And sometimes that's a luxury. No feels like a luxury. It won't always be that way. So planning for the days and really purposefully try and aim for the days when that's not the case, where no is not a luxury, is a really smart thing to be able to do in your business. Uh, what is one thing that if someone attends your sessions that they will come away with? And I know that you've got two sessions, so you can tell us two things, but what are the things that you hope people walk away with?
Well, for both sessions, joy, because my personal value mission as a speaker, doesn't matter what I'm speaking on, is that I leave every space, virtual or in person, more joyful than when I left it. So I use that as my guiding force, right? So whether you come to the joy-fueled entrepreneurship, growing with community, connection, and conviction, or you come to the one that we talked about, which was mission-driven storytelling, one, I want you to leave with joy. Two, as a former teacher, yeah, you're going to be doing some work while I'm teaching. Because I'm going to have you implementing, right? So in the marketing session, I want you to leave with some ideas that you can re-envision your marketing through the lens of your mission. And in the joy-fueled entrepreneurship, we're going to talk about the power of community connection and having the conviction. And you can probably hear the conviction in my voice because I am unwavering in many things, which is why I think I have the business that I have.
Shannon, where can we find out more about you and your business?
joyfulbusinessrevolution.com. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And I'm just guessing that we can find some good story-driven emails from you as well.
Oh, every week,
Wonderful.
every single week.
Thank you so much for being a part of Founded in FoCo and for coming to talk to us at this year's Founded in FoCo, which is March 11th through 13th at the Fort Collins Senior Center. We have a kickoff day on March 10th. Make sure you join us there and snag your badges, check in and for the whole session. It's going to be great. And check the website. If you haven't got your tickets yet, they are pay what you can. And we want to see you there. We want you in the room. Don't struggle on your own. This is the time to grow in your business and grow secure in your future. So make sure that you are there with us. It's the best way to get ahead. Schedule more, foundedinfoco.com, and we cannot wait to see you there. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Nick Armstrong, and this is a Founded in FoCo podcast. For more great interviews like this one, join us at foundedinfoco.com.